So I had a new client in my office today, and she's late 40s and just a mover and a shaker. And Ayurveda, you know, people, she's like super high pitta. I mean, red hair, freckles, just like piercing eyes, and she's out of bed at 5:15 in the morning and doesn't stop until she like almost literally collapses in bed at 9 o'clock at night. And she's like, I'm so exhausted. She's the classic wired and tired woman. I mean, she just grinds it all day long. And she's a powerful job, but she also is like involved in a lot of really meaningful extra activities, school board, just stuff, kind of political stuff. And it's great. It's great. She loves it. She doesn't want to stop, but she's supercharged all the time. And so she's having difficulty sleeping and some other issues and whatnot. But anyway, as I was driving home today from Tulsa, I was thinking about her because she's never meditated. She's yoga's too slow for her. Her workout is she gets on a Peloton bike and a hot box. I mean, it's like, supercharged workout in a 98-degree room. And she's like, ah. So, fire plus fire begets more fire. Anyway, so I was thinking about her. She actually asked today in the visit, she said, I really want to learn how to chill because I recognize that this isn't sustainable. I love what I do. I don't want to stop what I do. But I recognize that I'm nearing the end of my capacity, my rope for this. And she's not even 50 yet. So anyway, as I was saying, I was thinking about her on the way home today, and I was thinking how good restorative yoga would be for her nervous system. And we talked a lot about her nervous system and parasympathetic and sympathetic and all that in the visit today. But I don't know if you all remember like your first restorative class and what that was like for you. And maybe it just came really natural for you. It didn't for me for a while. I mean, I've really grown over the last probably 10 years to like, this practice is my jam kind of thing. But, there was a long time where, I couldn't have laid still. And, for like 5 minutes, let alone 12 or 15 minutes in a pose without just completely crawling out of my skin. So anyway, I was thinking about her and, wishing that, restorative yoga, I think restorative yoga is a great remedy and a great complement to other treatments for this kind of challenge. But, you kind of have to work into it slow. I mean, she'd like to learn how to meditate, but she's like, I don't have any idea if I could do it. So anyway, I just was thinking about that. And I wanted to bring it up to you all, because most of you, I think everybody on the screen and those who are waiting for the replay, you've practiced for a while. And if you can think back to how you got started in this kind of practice, which is so incredibly nourishing to our nervous system and so incredibly nourishing to our spirit and our minds and our entire physiology, that, it really demands, you got to block out time for this, and you got to like, get the props, and you got to like set yourself up. And it looks easy because we're just laying here breathing heavy, but it's not so easy to just chill yourself out for an hour at a time in your day. So kudos to you all who are doing this practice, doing it with me on Thursdays, but who, if you're doing it on your own as well. I mean, it's often said that if yoga were a buffet, restorative yoga would be the dessert table. And I agree. I still think that undersells it a little bit, because yeah, it's great. It's luscious. I sleep well after class, but there's so much more happening on a deeper level in this kind of practice. So I'm grateful to you all for joining me and doing this. And I'm really inspired by the discipline and the dedication that you all have to make this appointment with yourself and block this time out in your schedule to really send the signal. It's almost like the way I like to think of it is we're turning the rheostat button down on our sympathetic nervous system. If we're in fight or flight, It's really hard to just turn the switch off. So we're bringing the rheostat down. So the way I want to begin is we're just going to use these props tonight: a blanket, a block, a bolster, and a strap if you have it. If you don't have a strap, grab a necktie or a belt. And we're going to start in a still shape. I've got my bolster on an incline over my block. The block's at the head. And just set your strap to the side. We'll come to it in a little bit, but sit with your back to your bolster setup. And give yourself maybe a little bit of space between your bum and the bolster, maybe about a fist width. And then you're just going to roll yourself back over the bolster. And you're welcome to stretch your legs out onto the floor, or I'm going to go cross-legged. Totally up to you, doesn't matter. Our focus tonight is going to be on shoulder savers, is what I'm calling it. So mostly emphasizing work around the shoulder girdle, the chest, the ribs, and the upper back. So whatever feels comfortable for your legs is what you can do. And if you choose to have your legs crisscrossed like I do, don't worry about balancing, because I'm going to cue you a few minutes into this and we'll change the cross of our legs. But right now, just unfurl your spine back over your bolster. Let your arms drape out to the sides with a soft bend to your elbows. Palms up. So you start your practice in a physical gesture of being open and receptive. If it's comfortable for you to close your eyes, let your eyes softly shut down. And for the first couple of minutes, nothing spectacular or particular about the way you move your breath. Just let your breath follow its own pattern, finding its own rhythm. If you have your legs crossed, you can change the cross of your legs. Make your breath just a little bit deeper. We've still got a few minutes in this shape, but let's just pull our inhalations in a little broader, a little wider. And exhale a tad slower. Feel your ribs broaden and widen out to the side, and even gently press into the bolster underneath you as you breathe in, creating a large container for your prana, your energy, your breath, your vitality, your life force. And it's precisely through a practice such as this that we learn to be good stewards of our prana. We learn how to maybe manipulate the shape and size of our container at various times, which then allows us to manipulate the depth and breadth of our prana, the activity of our prana, the stillness of our prana. If your legs are crossed, I'm going to have you slowly, very slowly begin to unpack your legs. Oh, pull your knees up one at a time. And then stretch your legs down onto the floor, onto your mat. Point your toes to the wall beyond your feet. And then flex your feet, pressing your heels towards the wall beyond your feet. And then when you're ready for it, take your deepest breath yet. Stretch your arms in any direction or shape that your space allows. Reaching your limbs away from your trunk. Rest your arms at your side. Bend your knees one at a time and set your feet onto your sticky. And we're going to roll to one side so that we can lift ourselves up out of this. But I want you to go slow and go gently. Bring yourself up to sitting. Okay, set your bolster off to the side. Set your block off to the side. And then if you had your blanket open, and I didn't mention this, but I only had my blanket open on my mat just because my mat was kind of cold. And I wanted the extra cushion because I'm tender like that. So if you had a blanket, then just fold it up or roll it up and place it out beyond the head of your sticky mat. And then come onto your back, please. Let's light my candle. I need to get my Zen on. Okay. Onto your back. Knees bent. Pull your knees into your chest. You can rock a little from side to side. Massaging your spine, your kidneys and your adrenal glands live back there as well. And you can make circles with your knees, go a few times, maybe 2 or 3 times in one direction, and then be sure to switch gears and go 2 or 3 times in the other direction. Set your feet onto the floor, please. Keep your knees bent. And then I'm going to have you take your arms straight up to the ceiling. And bending your elbows, cross your forearms in front of your chest, taking opposite hands to opposite elbows. This is your neutral position. Breathe in. And then when you breathe out, you'll glide your elbows to the right and you'll drop your knees to the left. Ooh. When you inhale, you'll come back up through center. Pausing just long enough to find the 4 corners of your feet. And when you exhale, you'll take your elbows to the left and drop your knees to the right. Good. Breathing in, come back up. Arms right, knees left, breathing out. Back up through center. Arms left, knees right. Good. One more time. on both sides. Inhale. And exhale. Elbows to the right, knees to the left. Now I'm turning my head with my arms. It's totally up to you. If you want to turn your head opposite your arms, that's fine. Now this time when you take your elbows to the left and you drop your knees to the right, let's hit the pause button for a few breaths. Gently squeeze your right arm against your chest. Breathing in, sweep yourself back up through center. You're going to change the cross of your forearms. When you breathe out, you're going to go back where you were, elbows to the left, knees to the right. And we're going to do 3 rounds again. Inhale through center. Exhaling, elbows to the right, knees to the left. Good. And 2 more times on your own. I'm really enamored with the way these gentle twists and this gentle rocking motion, this compression and decompression of our SI joints gently coaxes our parasympathetic nervous system to kind of show up and participate. Parasympathetic nervous system being responsible for the rest and digest physiology, or my teacher refers to it as tend and befriend. The next time your arms are going to the right and your knees are dropping to the left, you're going to stay here for a few breaths. Great. Come back up through center, please. And bring your arms down by your sides. Grab your bolster and roll over to your left side. I'm going to have you stack your knees one on top of the other and place the bolster between your knees and your feet. And then you're going to bring your hands together behind your head, gently clasping your fingers together at the back of your skull. Your elbows are bent. I want you to cradle your head between your forearms, cradle the back of your head in your palms. And then when you're ready on an inhalation, you're going to sweep your right elbow up and back behind you towards the floor. Whether it gets there or not is irrelevant. When you exhale, you'll sweep your right elbow up and over and then kind of coil inward. Bring your right elbow towards the floor in front of you. And then inhaling again, sweep your right elbow up and open. And exhaling, close, coil inward. And the whole time your head is really cradled, so there's no strain on your neck. And we'll go 3 more times for a total of 5. Last one. On your fifth one, I want you to stay in this twist, taking your right elbow out to the right, resting your head in your hands. And return your right elbow back in front. Coming back through center, take your right elbow towards the floor. Good. Excellent. And then very slowly roll onto your back, bring your bolster with you, and you'll come to your right side. And here we go, cradling our head in our hands. Elbows bent, and begin as you're ready. Breathing in, sweep your left elbow up and back. Notice the difference right out of the gate. How does this side feel in comparison to the other? And when you exhale, coil inward, take your left elbow towards the floor, all the while keeping your head fully supported between your hands and your forearms. And about on your fifth one, you'll stay open in the twist, keeping your knees stacked, opening your elbows. And sweep your left elbow up and over, bringing it towards the floor. Great. Okay, move the bolster out from between your knees. And I want you to roll onto your belly, please. And once you get down onto your belly, lift up onto your hands and your knees. We're going to do thread the needle. So take your knees a little wider than your hips. And then you're going to take your right arm and thread it onto the floor between your left hand and your left knee. Your hips will be elevated. Come all the way down onto your right shoulder to the right side of your head. Place your left hand onto the floor in front of your chin, and then pressing into the floor, unthread your right arm. Come on to hands and knees. And then let's go to the other side. Let's take our left arm onto the floor between our right hand. Oh, right knee. Come on down onto your left shoulder, left ear, left side of your head. And set your right hand onto the floor in front of your chin and press your hand into the floor so that you can lift yourself up. Rock back into child's pose, Balasana. Good. Slowly roll yourself upright. Okay, now for the big shoulder stretch. You're going to use your bolster. Take it widthwise across your mat and grab your block. You're going to set your block to the other side of your bolster, and let's start with it on its second height. You might want to adjust it to its tallest height, but you can be the decider. Have your strap nearby, and why don't you go ahead and unfurl your strap just so it's at the ready. Keeping your knees bent and your feet on the floor. This is a good anchor for rolling over backwards over your bolster. So keep your feet on the floor, knees bent, bring your elbows to your bolster. And I like to start there because I want you to just be able to dip your back into the bolster and see that the bolster is going to be supporting you mostly at bra line. Okay. Once you have that, yep, okay, that feels good. Then you'll roll yourself over your bolster. The block is there to support the back of your head. And if this does not feel good for your chest or your throat, if it's like, I don't like it, then just take your block up another notch, and that will absolutely take care of that. And then I want the bolster to be hitting you at bra line because I want you to be able to take your arms out to the sides and not be supported by the bolster. That makes sense. I hope it does. So your shoulders are free of the bolster. Your arms are free of the bolster. The bolster is just at your mid back. And here we are in what's called supported fish pose, Matsyendrasana. Arms out to the sides. And then once you're in the shape, anything goes with your legs. You can keep your knees bent and your feet on the floor. You can stretch your legs down the length of your mat if you'd like. Now, a couple of other modifications that are available. Of course, now you can adjust the height of your block. Taking it up taller will take strain off of the chest, the front of your chest and your neck. I don't want you to take it down any lower, though. Definitely keep it at least on the second height. But also, let's see, what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah. If this bolster feels too high, like this arch through your thoracic spine, if this is not all that comfortable for you, because we're going to be here for a few minutes, if this feels like, it's just like too aggravating, then come off the bolster and just use a blanket so that this isn't quite so high. Because I'm sure you can feel what's happening here. So your thoracic spine normally by design curves in the opposite way. We're pushing the thoracic spine into a curve that it's not really accustomed to, nor is it designed to go in. However, this is such a nice antidote for sitting all day, for being sedentary, whether that's at our desk, traveling in a car, trains, planes, or automobiles, or even just, spending an afternoon in the lazy boy, eating bonbons and watching Jerry Springer reruns. Whatever floats your boat, this is the antidote to that kyphotic curve in the upper back. And this is also a really lovely shape to bring in shoulder extension. I can't remember if it was last Sunday or the Sunday previous. In our Sunday morning class, I was talking about flexion versus extension. And we spend so much of our time in flexion. Maybe it was Thursday night. I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. We spend so much of our waking hours, so many of our waking hours in shoulder flexion with our arms out in front of us, driving a car, typing on our laptops, cooking, putting away groceries. Arms are constantly out in front. So this provides a nice counter. Okay, so I want you to reach out and grab your strap and take the buckle end in one hand so it doesn't bang around. And then stretch the strap out between your hands down in front of you. Take your hands a little wider than shoulder width apart. And then I'm going to have you bring your arms straight up to the ceiling and let your shoulders drop down over the bolster. And then from here, take the strap over your head. Doesn't matter if it gets to the floor behind you, that's irrelevant. Then I'm going to have you bring the strap up to the ceiling again. And down to your belly or to your legs. And so let's use our breath. Inhaling, arms straight up and overhead. And exhaling, arms back down in front. I want you to keep your arms straight. Take your hands as wide as you need to so your arms can stay straight. We're going to go a couple more times, arms up and over. Completely unattached with how far the arms get over our head or the strap gets over our head. Come back down. Let's go 2 more times. And if it's a total cakewalk, you can bring your hands a little closer together. So on this last time, take your arms up and over, and then you're going to pause with your arms over your head. I want you to gently begin to pull on the strap like you're trying to pull it apart. But at the same time, I want you to draw your tailbone towards your heels and pull your belly in. So draw your navel to your spine. So you're not over exaggerating the arch in your lower back. And then even one more instruction, bring your attention to your front low ribs, your lower rib basket, and gently hug your lower ribs in. Notice how that changes things, if it changes things up through your chest or your underarms, your shoulders. You might even draw your shoulder blades down your back into the into the bolster a little bit more. Let's stay for just a couple more breaths. So it's a pretty active pose. We're pulling on the strap. Shoulder blades are moving down. Belly is pulling in. Low ribs are drawing in. Low back is lengthening. Great. Bring your strap up and over. Ooh-wee. And set your strap to the side. Oh, good, we're done with that. Bend your knees, please. So the exit strategy, I like to just roll over to one side to come up out of this. Another option is to bring your hands behind your head and gently lift your head up so you're looking out beyond your knees. And that's kind of nice too. And then from here, you can bring your elbows down into your bolster and bring yourself upright. Oh. Okay. Ouch. So for our final rest in peace pose, I was going to put us into legs up the wall. That requires that you have a wall nearby, and you could bring your bolster with you. And if you don't have a wall nearby, I'm kind of limited with wall space. You could always, you could swing your feet up over like a stool or a chair or an ottoman. And that's what I'm going to do. So if you've got access to a wall, then shuffle your sweet little derriere over to the wall and swing your legs up, bring your bolster with you and just have it on standby at the side. And if you want to have your blanket on the floor to give you a little extra cushion, you can. Yeah, I think I want that. It's been rainy and damp all day here in northeastern Oklahoma, and it's cold. So once you get your legs up the wall or your shins over your stool or your bolster or your ottoman or chair, then here's what you do with the bolster. If you want, you can lift your hips. That requires you to bend your knees. Lift your hips and slide the bolster underneath your bum. It's going to support your bum and your low back. So you're going to have a little bit of cheek meat hanging off the back end. That's fine. That's appropriate. And then you can re-extend your legs up the wall or take your shins and feet over your ottoman or the seat of a chair. Works fine. Or throw them over the seat of the sofa. And then here we are. So with the bolster underneath, if you're using it, what you get is this kind of added cascade effect of fluid and lymph moving from the low extremities into the pool of the pelvis, which is how the pose gets its name. Legs up the wall is really called Viparita Karani, which means inverted lake. So fluid, lymph, blood, all coming down the legs and circulating in the lake or the pool of the pelvis. With the pelvis elevated, we have the added effect of now that fluid moving into the chest, the mammary tissue, breast tissue, underarms, shoulders, neck, and throat. If this is comfortable for you, this is where we're going to be for the next 7 or 8 minutes. If it's not comfortable for you, you know the deal. If you can't get out of discomfort, get out of the pose and make your way into the shavasana of your choice. Grab your cats, your dogs, your eye pillows, your blankets, sandbags, whatever it is that drops you deeper into this place of rest. This is really kicking the rheostat down now. if your time permits you to stay here for another 5, 10, or 15 minutes, and please do. Otherwise, you'll begin to move your fingers and your toes as you deepen your breath. And bend your knees and slide your heels down the wall. And then you'll press your feet gently into the wall so that you can lift your hips just high enough to slide the bolster out from underneath you and give your body time to acclimate as your spine descends to the floor. You can roll over to one side and gently pull yourself up. You can sit with your back against the wall for support if you'd like. And when you rise up, bring your hands to your heart. Good. We'll pull our thumbs up to our third eye. The peace that we generate in this practice and in our nervous system, may it bring peace to our minds. And then your fingertips can glide down to your lips. The peace that we cultivate in this practice, may it bring peace to our words. And then rest your hands at your heart. The peace that we generate in this practice, may it bring peace to our hearts. Thank you so much. Yay. Thanks, everybody.